So first and foremost, I like to say all praises to the Most High, the great King, the mighty Yahweh, the only omnipotent, the most dreadful, powerful, merciful, the greatest force. All right, we like to give praise to the Most High, and also to today's new moon. Also too, like to give props to our foes, our enemies, the loved ones, those that hate us. All right, those that admonish us, that respect us. Give props to them, because all things come from the Most High, whether good or evil, whether it's opposition or for. All things come by the Most High. The Most High said He made everything in twos, everything is in doubles. So, but most of all, I give props to those that respect and love the Most High, His truth and His word, and those that love the Most High. All right. So we're gonna begin our class. Today is about the new moon, because today is the last new moon before the spring. You see, it's cold outside. It's not spring, even though we had a couple days where it was warm and nice. But the Most High is showing you still not spring yet. It's winter still. So this is the last new moon for the year. Next month will begin the spring. That will be the spring new moon next month. We're still in the winter season. All right. So we're gonna start off our class. We're gonna go to Numbers, the 10th chapter. We're gonna start off with being that it's the new moon. Numbers, the 10th chapter, and we're gonna begin from the Numbers 10 and 10.
We read out the book of Numbers, the 10th chapter, and the 10th verse. Also, in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, in the beginning of your month, you shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over your sacrifices of your peace offerings, that you may be to you for a memorial before your power and the Lord Yahweh.
Right. So the Most High said, also in the day of your gladness and in your solemn days and in the beginnings of your months. All right. The beginning of the months stems from the new moon. The new moon determines the month. All right. And the things that's going to follow after. All right. So from there, let's go to Psalms, the 81st chapter. Psalms 81. And we're going to begin from the first verse.
The book of Psalms, 31st chapter. I'm going to start reading it from the first verse. Sing aloud unto Yahweh our strength. Make a joyful noise unto Yahweh of Jacob. Take a song and bring hither the timbrel.
Right. So these are the things that we did. All right. We made a psalm. We brought the timbrel and we rejoiced before the Most High and we praised the Most High. All right. Continue.
The pleasant harp with the psaltery. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon.
So the Most High said, blow up the trumpet in the new moon. So this is the new moon. You blow up the trumpet. You sound the alarm. All right. To let the people know. You sound that alarm. You blow up the trumpet. All right. Go ahead.
In the time appointed.
In the time appointed. Go ahead.
On our solemn feast day.
And our solemn feast days. All right. Go ahead.
For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the power of Jacob. This he ordained in Joseph for a testimony when he went out through the land of Egypt, where I heard a language that I understood not.
All right. So from there, let's go to, so we're still in the new moon. Go to Isaiah 66. Isaiah 66.
Go to the book of Isaiah.
Isaiah 66, and we're going to begin from the 23rd verse.
Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, chapter 66, verse 23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another.
Right, from one new moon, from the first new moon, the beginning of the new moons, the first month, to the last new moon, which ends the end of the year. Go ahead.
And from one Sabbath to another shall all flesh come to worship before me, except the Lord Yahweh.
Right, so when the Most High set us back up in our kingdom, all flesh is going to come to worship the Most High.
Good.
All right? Even the nations. All right? They're going to come and worship the Most High. Just like in today's society, they celebrate and worship all the pagan days. when we get back in our kingdom and our rulership, they're going to come and serve the Most High days. If not, they're going to be put to death. Straight up and done. Ain't no question, ain't no plea bargain, ain't going to no court. You don't do it, you're going to be put to death. Straight up. All right? So from there, let's go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel, the 46th chapter. Ezekiel 46. And we'll begin from the first verse.
Reading from the book of Ezekiel, 46th chapter, and the first verse. Thus said the Lord Yahweh, the gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east shall be shut the 6 working days. But on the Sabbath it shall be open. And in the day of the new moon it shall be open.
Go ahead.
And the prince shall enter by the way of the porch of the gate without, and shall stand by the post of the gate, and the priest shall prepare his burnt offerings and his peace offerings. And he shall worship at the threshold of the gate. Then he shall go forth, but the gate shall not be shut until the evening. Likewise, the people of the land shall worship at the door of this gate before the Lord Yahweh in the Sabbath and in the new moon.
Right, so in the Sabbath and in the new moon. And this is going to be when we get back into our kingdom. When Most High was showing the Levite priests this ordination that's going to be reestablished when we get back into the land. So, okay, from there, we're going to touch on a brief historical understanding about the new moon and when the spring comes in. All right, so we'd like to go to one scripture before I bring up some historical facts. Let's go to Psalms 104. Psalms 104. And we're going to begin from the 19th verse. Psalms 104.
Prepare for the book of Psalms, 104th chapter. We're going to begin reading at the 19th verse. He appointed the moon for seasons.
So let's stop right. So the Most High said he appointed the moon for seasons. All right? The moon is what gives you the seasons. All right? The spring, summer, fall, winter. And it's determined by what you call the new moons. All right? Or different phases of the moons. All right? Because, for example, every Passover must fall on a full moon. That's a must. Because that's the 15th day of the month. That's when the new moon comes in. So every Passover must be on a full moon. If your Passover is not on a full moon, you're off. You're out of sync. If you're saying Happy New Year now, you're out of sync. Because it's not spring. It's still winter. What we're doing now is keeping the last new moon for the year. Alright? So the Most High says he appointed the moon for what? For seasons. Alright? Continue.
The sun knoweth his going down.
Alright. So there's even the sun knows it's going down. The sun knows when it's time to go down and when it's time to rise. And it happens clockwork. Alright? When the sun goes down, then the moon comes up. When the sun goes down here, it's up somewhere else in the world. But that sun just rotates round. It goes around. All right? Okay? So now, also from there, let's go to Genesis 1 and 14. Genesis 1:14. And this is in the beginning. When the Most High created and made all things for his pleasure. And it was good after the Most High made everything. All right? Genesis 1:14.
We're going to read out the book of Genesis, the first chapter, verse 14. And Yahweh said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night.
So the heaven have its own lights. All right? This will be before the sun and the moon. All right? It have its own light. All right? Continue.
And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
All right? Okay, so the Most High made these things for signs. All right? For signs, for seasons, and for days and years. And this comes by the moon. All right. So I just want to read a little historical documentation. All right. And this is coming also from our House of David at 744 Dumont Avenue. All right. They were already established before we became the House of David, and they follow the same high holy days, new moon, as we do. I have to give them props for that. It's also called the House of David. All right. At 744 Dumont Avenue in Brooklyn. Now, Raka, I want you to read this whole thing for me right here, and then we're going to jump down to this part here.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. This is explanation of the new moon. Or H.O.D.C. All right. The new moon is sometimes visible, but seldom visible on the first evening of the first day of the present Hebrew monthly calendar.
See? Sometimes it's visible. Sometimes you can see it, and sometimes you can't see it. Go ahead.
It may be seen at the end of the day up to 2 days later. All are encouraged to watch for the first visible crescent for themselves, so that we may be certain of the time that should be kept.
See? At the first crescent, at that first light. You understand? That's when you see that light, at the first crescent. All right? Not a full moon. All right? Read it again.
All are encouraged to watch for the first visible crescent for themselves.
See? The first visible crescent. That first sliver of light that comes out. All right? Go ahead.
So that we may be certain of the time that should be kept.
See? That you could be certain to know what time is going to be kept, or the season. Go ahead.
You may check with others also. Begin to look for the new moon toward the western sky at the going down of the sun before the first day of the Hebrew month at sunset.
See? At sunset. At sunset. Some brothers teaching, oh, a day doesn't begin, a day doesn't end at sunset. At sunset. Most I say you keep the Passover up the 14th day at sunset at evening, because it ends that 14th day. So where is some people logic or understanding of the scripture? All right, let's continue.
According to Numbers 10 and 10, we are admonished to blow up the trumpet in the beginning of your month.
Right, blow up the trumpet in the beginning of your months. Go ahead.
So that if we could all meet on the first day of the Hebrew month according to the calendar, we may have holy convocations together.
Right, because that new moon is a holy convocation of the congregation. That's when the congregation meet to observe and celebrate that day. Go ahead.
And not separately, as on some occasions. He appointed a moon for seasons. This is written in Psalms 81, 1 through 5. Psalms 104, 19, Genesis 1 and 14. The moon, the new moon, may not be sighted sometimes because of poor visibility.
Right, poor visibility. All right, go ahead.
Weather conditions and failure of appearance, poor location, or poor vision. Some Hebrew calendars that are calculated astronomically show the new moon sometimes to be before the first day of the Hebrew calendar.
Right, so some Hebrew schools or Hebrew congregation that goes by the astronomical calendar have it already set up. So you could go from a whole year in advance and see when the new moon is going to be set. That's if you're going according to the astronomical calendar. Right? If you wait till the new moon itself comes up, it's different. Like the brothers in Israel do. They don't have a set calendar that tell you, okay, next month it's going to be a new moon. They wait until the new moon comes up to see the sign of the new moon. Then they said, listen, this when the month begin, this when we're going to keep our Passover. All right? Continue.
But I have seldom seen the visible new moon before the first day of the Hebrew monthly calendar. If a count is made from the first day of the Hebrew month to the seventh day of the Hebrew month, you will notice a half moon in the sky.
You see, a half moon, not a full moon, a half moon. All right, go ahead.
And 7 days later, a full moon.
And 7 days later, you will see a full moon. All right, go ahead.
if a count is made from one circle to the next, it will give the numbers of the days in the month. The Feast of Trumpets is on the new moon of the 7th Hebrew month.
The Feast of Tabernacles, all right? That's also on a new moon. Is it a new moon? No, it's a full moon. It's a full moon, sorry. Let me take it back. It's on a full moon, the Feast of Tabernacles, all right? The Passover, those high holy days always comes on a full moon. And it's another one too. But we're going to read about it. Let's go ahead.
According to patriarchs and prophets, during the celebration of the Passover and the Lord's Supper, the moon was approaching the full because it was observed on the 14th day of the month Abib at evening.
At evening, which makes it the 15th day. That's when the moon is full. 15 days. Right? 14 days after that new moon gives you a full moon. All right? That's when your Passover comes in. All right? Go ahead.
Which is the beginning of the 15th day, corresponding with the last of March and the beginning of April. The calendar that is being used today is basically the same that was used to indicate the Day of Atonement on October 22nd, at the beginning of the Second Advent movement.
All right. So now jump down to here now. All right. That was just a little history of this congregation and Dumont, how they keep their high holy days and their new moons. The same way that we do it is the same way they do it too. And we never had no correspondence with them or nothing like that. But I got this from them one time when they came here. All right? And when I saw it, I was like, wow, that's a spirit. They keep the same new moons, the same everything the way we do it. That was a spirit. Because we never had no communication with them about their high holy days and what they do. But they came over one day and they came to visit us. And they gave it to me. And I went home, I looked at it, I said, wow, that's amazing, man. And we never had no form of communication or nothing like that. You know? So I said, I'm going to bring this up one of these days. All right? Now read this part here.
Okay. The Pentecost or the Feast of Weeks is always on the first day of the week. Leviticus 23, 15 through 17.
Right. So when the Pentecost comes in, which is what? The Pentecost is also known as what? First fruits. That's always on the first day of the week. And that's the same way we celebrate our Pentecost or first fruits on the first day of the week, what you would call so-called Sunday. All right? And that's the same thing that they celebrate too. All right? Go ahead.
The Hebrew Christian calendar of the first temple of the house of David consistently follows the rule that the Hebrew or Bible year always begin in the spring at the time of the barley harvest.
See? That's when your new year begins. In the springtime, in the beginning of the barley harvest. If you don't see that barley, it's not springtime.
That's right.
Okay? If you don't see no blade of grass budding up or nothing budding, it's not springtime. So when let's say you keeping your new moon today, and then 14 days after you keeping your Passover, it's still not springtime. It's still not springtime. It's still in the winter. Because what you're doing, you're celebrating the last new moon of the month. You will not celebrate or keeping the first new moon of the month. Continue on.
It must begin with the first new moon at or after the vernal equinox.
You hear that?
Right.
It must begin at or after the spring vernal equinox. So if you're keeping it before that, it's not springtime. When does the spring equinox comes in? Around what time? Between March 20 or March 21st. So if you're keeping it before that, it's not the springtime. So it must be kept at or after the spring vernal equinox. Read that part again.
Okay. It must begin with the first new moon at or after the vernal equinox, the first day of spring.
See, your first new moon that begins the new year must begin at or after the first spring vernal equinox. Read again.
Must begin with the first new moon at or after the vernal equinox, the first day of spring, March 20th of the leap year, and March 21st of the regular year.
Right, so if it's a leap year, it's March 20. If it's not a leap year, it's March 21st. All right, go ahead.
The day and night of the year is equal between the winter and the spring on the vernal equinox.
Right, so everything is balanced. Day and night is equal. All right, go ahead.
12 hours of day and 12 hours of night. The Passover, the Pentecost, and the Feast of Tabernacles, the three most important feasts of the year.
Y'all hear that? What are those three days? Name those 3 days. The congregation.
Passover, Pentecost.
Passover, first fruits, Sabbath.
Right. All right, I just gonna tell you. Go ahead.
The three most important feasts of the year and the Day of Atonement of the year is about 1 month later than in the other calendars that do not observe this rule. In the year 2017, Passover, Pentecost, and the Feast of Tabernacles were observed in the same month as in other calendars.
Because it wasn't a leap year. All right? So whenever it's a leap year, you have to make that adjustment. Right. Yeah.
Can I read this?
Read it, yes.
This is regarding the leap year. We're in a leap year now. This is the 13th month.
Right.
All right? Not the first month. We're in the 13th month. Now, according to this document we have here, it talks about Hebrew calendar. And it says here, although the Israelites are commanded to use a lunar calendar, they cannot use 12 lunar months every year.
Right, because, like I said, a leap year comes in. So you have to make that adjustment. You understand? And that's not found in the Bible. You have to use different historical sources and records. Go ahead.
Every so often, Israelites have to add an extra month to the year.
See, you have to add an extra month to the year. All right, go ahead.
Every so often, instead of having 12 lunar months, the year will have 13 lunar months. This extra month placed every so often compensates for the 11-day difference in time between the 12th month and year and the seasonal year. This way, the Israelites can keep their holy feast days in their due season.
So everything has to be in its due appointed season. Just like when we came out of Egypt, it was in the springtime. When the Most High made that promise with Abraham, it was in the springtime. The same season. That's why it said, in the same day, the children of Israel came out of Egypt. The same day we came out of Egypt in the springtime and the Passover was the same thing. The Most High made the promise with Abraham in the springtime during what you call the Passover. All right, go ahead. There's more to it.
And still maintain a lunar calendar. All right, this is called how the Israelite calendar works. All right, this is a very important document you need as Israelites. That way you know that you honor the Most High to the best of your ability with the true understanding. Okay?
What is it called again?
I'll get this out later, but it's called How the Israelite Calendar Works by A.B. Ephraim.
Right. And there's something else I want to show to.
I mean, the Most High is about, how would you say, consistency.
And timing. Everything is based on precise timing, math. All right? I have another historical book here. It's called Manners of the Ancient Israelites. It was written by this guy. His name is Claude Fleury. Fleury. All right? Claude Laude. Fleury. Fleury. And it's called The Manners of the Ancient Israelites. All right? And he states here,
Manners of the Ancient Israelites.
not the modern day Jews. Okay?
Not the big one.
Not the fake imposters.
And as you get this understanding, this should make you feel good within inside. All right, because you're doing the will of the Most High according to His will.
But he more or less said the same thing here, that the Passover or the first month was celebrated at or after the spring equinox in order to have your Passover. You cannot do it before. If you do it before, it's usually in the winter time. But let me just read a quick paragraph what he said here. Okay, this is what he says. This was in chapter 3 of what he called the Jewish year. He says, but that I may give all the necessary light that is wanting in this affair, I shall observe that the Jews or Judites, I hate using that word Jews because you represent these imposters, the Judites, all right, have four sorts of years, or rather that each year has 4 beginnings. That of the civil year was in the month Tisri. That of the sacred year in the month of Nisan, which is in April, springtime. Tisri is like around September, around the Feast of Tabernacles. All right. The sacred year in the month of Nisan. That of the tithe of the cattle in the month Elul, that is to say, according to the rabbins, that they began from this month to take an account of the cattle, all the cattle which were born, that they might offer the tithe of them to the Most High. And then lastly, that of the trees, all right, that of the trees which was on the 1st or 15th of the 15th of the month. All right, that's in the springtime. All right. But okay, this is the part I want to read. What I have said concerning these 4 distinct distinctions relates only to the common year of the Israelites, which has been said consisted of 12 or 13 lunar months. All right. But besides this year, they had a second, as has also been already observed, which consisted of 7 years and was called sabbatical. Sabbatical. On this year, the Israelites were not permitted to cultivate the earth. All right, but but he's basically saying the same that we read from here about when we kept the cycle of the moons. 13 month was added to adjust when it was a leap year. All right.
Can I say this, Ben?
Yeah.
Now let's write this down. Write down the reason why you must adopt a lunar calendar as Israelites. Okay? Those who are watching this, us right now, and also the house of David, the reason why you must adopt a lunar calendar is really simple. It's for unity. That's the main reason. That's the reason why you must adopt a lunar calendar as Israelites. It's for unity. That way everybody is celebrating the Most High holidays
on the same day, same appointed time. See, right now, what we're in right now in Babylon is sheer confusion, madness. But the Most High spoke about it. That's when we get back in our land, everything's going to be precision, accurate. You understand? Some of us keep in Passover in March, some in April. It's confusion, it's madness. But some people, because of ego, some people have egos, and they don't want to listen and observe. All right? But if you use common sense, you'll see this is not springtime. It's nowhere near the spring yet. It's still winter all over the face of the earth. It's winter in Israel. And if you want to base your accuracy of calendar, base it on Jerusalem from the east. Base your appointed season and everything according to Jerusalem. If you don't want to follow the Western way of life. Because in Jerusalem now it's still winter. It's still winter in Europe. It's still winter here in America. All right? You want to hear something around some? Yeah. Okay. All right? So I just want to share that. And like I said, with this here that we brought up from this other house of David, we never had no communication or linking with them to know when they celebrate their high holy days, new moons and stuff like that. It's one time they came here and they made a visit to us. And they gave me this information. So I said, let me go over this here and look at this here. When I saw, I was like, wow, that's the spirit. The same way we do our service in the new moon, the appointed time, they do it the same way too. All praises to the Most High. When I saw, I was like, wow, ain't that something? This is a witness. Witness to show that you have other Israelites that's following according to the right way of doing things. And not according to ego and pride. All right?
That's sure, this knowledge was always there.
Yeah. And they were established before this house of David. They were, I think, established in 1970. All right? I never knew there was a house of David over there. I remember one time it was a Bushwick, and a lady called and said, is this the house of David? I said, yeah, this is the house of David. She said, where are you located? I said, I'm a Bushwick. Oh, she said, no, this is not the house. I said, is it not a house of David? She said, yeah, there's two more. There's another one over there in East New York too. And this one over here is on Dumont Avenue. I was like, wow. So but I never met these brothers. Then about maybe a couple years ago, they came here. Because the bro used to listen to us downtown back in the 90s. So when I saw him, I'm like, oh, brother, why you didn't tell me you were Israelites? He said, yeah, I was an Israelite. I used to listen to you all downtown too. Then he came here one time with his elder. And then they stayed for a while and everything. And then he gave me this stuff here. And I said, let me go over home and look and read this stuff here. When I saw it, I was like, wow, that's the spirit of the Most High. You know, that they do it the same way that we do it. They observe when the leap year comes in, you have to make that adjustment and everything, man. Yeah, you know. So that's all praises to the Most High. You know what I mean? So ain't have to say that we puffed up and we have all the knowledge. The Most High gave all of us knowledge in portions. Until we get back to the land, the Most High is going to give us all on one in unison. Right now, we have the knowledge in bits and pieces. Every group have a portion of the Most High wisdom and knowledge. It's like pieces of the puzzle working its way back. But the Most High is not going to have us unify here in Babylon. We will never be when we get back on the other side. Right? Because that's why in the Psalms, David said, how shall I sing the Most High song in a strange land? All right? How are we going to observe and do the right things that the Most High wants to do in a strange land? Right. We can only do that when we get back into our land. What we're doing now is just a rehearsal. You understand? And even Paul spoke about it. He said, you observe days, years, and those things that we're doing. All right? Because the Most High is going to give us the right and accurate, precise day for everything when we get back in the land. But it's good to rehearse. But it's good that we all should come on that one accord when it comes to keeping the Most High high holy days. That's power. That's unity. That's a spiritual vibration in the earth.
Okay, well,
That's it? Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Let's go to Ecclesiastes, the 43rd chapter. Okay, just the scriptural reference to confirm your belief and build your faith. All right, remember, the spirit works with your mind. You got to understand what the Most High wants from us. And once you do that, your spirit gets stronger. Okay, let's go to Ecclesiastes, the 33rd chapter, and let's read the first verse. Okay? It said, the pride of the height. All right, now that pride is talking about all stars, the
Firmament,
moon,
yeah,
the height. The moon is sitting up there with pride. All right, because that's the
everlasting light.
everlasting light.
It never diminishes, man. It never goes down or burned out. Just like the sun. The Most High man with an everlasting energy to go on for thousands of years. Go ahead.
And that moon is like it's sitting up there with pride, looking down.
Yep.
All right, the pride of the height, the clear firmament. In other words, that's what we say. When it's clear firmament, you can see that moon. All right, you gotta be able to see it in a clear firmament. All right, sometimes you can't see it if it's cloudy. All right, the beauty of heaven. All the stars, the moon, so that's the beauty of heaven. So when we look at that, that's the beauty of heaven. But we're not supposed to be like the Egyptians, where they used to observe and worship. They understood that the sun and moon meant something. They understood that. But we're not supposed to worship. We're not worshiping. It's a sign for us. Okay? And with its glorious shoot. Now let's jump to verse 6. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of time. The moon is to declare the times. And what Ben read earlier said for the seasons. That's what the moon is there for, declare the seasons. Now the moon has other reasons, such as gravity. All right, gravity, that's the moon pulls. All right, that moon, even though it's a lesser light, that moon is very, very important. Okay, you couldn't be sitting here without that moon. Okay?
Can I say this too? And the moon also too, sometimes it regulates your moods. You understand? You say, man, you're a moody person because it's the cycle of the moon. The moon affects, as you use the term, lunar. Oh, you're a lunatic? Comes from that. Sometimes that's why it's showing you when the wolves come out at full moon. Because the moon affects certain vibrations in the earth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that the moon also reflects the current of the ocean.
That's right.
Which affects the atmosphere. And if that gets disturbed, then our whole atmosphere will go out of whack.
That's right.
All right, and also, what else go out of whack is our calendar.
Yeah.
Your days is going to be off. Once your days is off, your spirit is off. All right, our nation is off. Everything is out of order. So we connected to that. Okay? 8, and it says here, he made the moon also to serve in her seasons for a declaration of times. All right? And a sign of the world. We are that world. That's a sign of us. We are the world of Israel. Okay? From the new moon is the sign of feast. Underline that.
Yep.
Mark that in your books, your Bible. From the moon is the sign of feast. And that's how we know when it's Passover, Feast of Tabernacles. You see that moon hanging there. In what it said, in the pride. All right? Okay, then it says here, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. And as it going through its phases, the beacon of the moon. Okay? The month is called after her name. So like you said, that's where we derive the word month from. It's derivative of the word moon. Okay? And that's how that all came about. Make sense?
Good.
All right. Okay.
All right, I'm going to get one more scripture and then we're going to end the class. It's not going to be a long class. All right. Okay, this is a long time guys to read all the time. Go to Isaiah 30, Isaiah the 30th chapter. And you can begin from the 26th verse to show you that Because of us out of whack, the moon and everything is totally out of order. Just by us being out of, not in sync with the Most High, not even the moon and the sun is given its full capacity the way it's supposed to. All right? Read that, Isaiah 30 and 26.
The book of Isaiah, 30th chapter, and we're going to begin at the 26th verse. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun.
See, and this is in the future. So you think the moon is bright now? Wait till we get back in our kingdom, when everything is put back in order. Read that verse again.
Isaiah 30th chapter, 26th verse. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun shall be sevenfold as the light of 7 days.
So you see that? It's gonna be much more powerful than the way it is right now. All right, go ahead.
In the day that the Lord Yahweh bindeth up the breach of his people, and healeth the stroke of their wound.
Check that out. And what is that breach? That breach was that covenant that we broke with the Most High. So when we broke that covenant, everything was in disarray. So when the Most High healed us back up and healed the wound of our stroke, everything's going to be put back in its full righteous order. All right? So showing you, man, we're a special people. When we get back in the right order and do the right things, everything will work in the right harmony with us, man. You understand? So that's the power we have once we get back in that unity. And that's why unity is so powerful. That's why it said in the Psalms, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Because that unity is power. It moves and shifts things and put it back in the right perspective.
Okay, can I have this, Ben?
You bring it up, yes.
Go to, and since you're leaning towards the future, let's go to Jeremiah 31st chapter.
Yep.
All right, because it's going to come to that point, but like I said, the Most High going to close those breaches and honor that covenant. All right, let's go to Jeremiah 31st chapter. Okay, let's start at 33. Let me show you something. All right, Lavoie, can you read that for us? Right. Jeremiah 31st chapter, and it starts at 33rd verse. Okay. Jeremiah 31st chapter, 33rd verse. Y'all write this down. Okay.
Read on Jeremiah chapter 33.
31.
31, 33.
31 verse 33. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of
All
Israel.
right, listen to what the Most High said. He said this is going to be the covenant, the agreement. All right, this is going to be the agreement. The contract that the Most High got with the children of Israel. Go ahead.
After those days, said the Most High,
Go ahead.
I will put my law in their inward parts.
All right, in your spirit. The law won't be in your spirit. All right? And that should be happening now. All right? Y'all should be following laws like it's natural. Coming to the Sabbath day is natural. Okay? All right? It's all the laws are in you. You just don't know how to perfect it and bring it out of you. That's the maturity in this word. All right, continue on.
And write it in their hearts.
In their hearts, which is your mind. Most say you're going to write them in your mind. Okay? In your mind. It's not going to be like the scripture says in Revelations, where you're going to be affected on your forehead. All right? That's not talking about that. But this Most High is going to put out the laws in our mind. Okay, continue.
And will be their power.
Be our power, go ahead.
And they shall be my people.
All right, now this is how you're going to know. Continue on.
Verse 34. And they shall teach no more every man his
It's
neighbor.
going to come to the point, we ain't going to be teaching you about the new moon. You going to know what that new moon is.
Yep.
You're going to know when the white Passover is. You're going to know when the white Feast of Tabernacle is. Ain't no more teaching that no more. We going to know because the Most High put in our spirit and our mind going to have unity. All right, continue on.
And every man his brother saying, know the Most High.
We're going to say, know the Most High. Okay, every brother and sister, we're going to say it, know the Most High. Because you're going to be walking in that spirit of the Most High. Go ahead.
For they shall all know me.
They should all know me, and we should all know when the new moon is and when the Passover is. Okay, we all going to know when the Passover is. Okay, go ahead.
From the least of them unto the greatest of them.
Least to the greatest. Don't matter if you are speaking on the street, don't matter if you just come and sit in the class. From the least to the greatest going to know when that Passover is. Go ahead.
Saith the Most High Yahweh.
Go ahead.
For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sins no more.
Because he's going to what? He's going to remember that covenant. He's going to remember that covenant. Okay? 2 more verses. Go ahead.
Verse 35.
Go ahead.
Thus says the Most High, which giveth the sun for a light by
Like Ben
day.
said, the sun. He said the sun for a light by day, because the sun is the
Chief light.
chief light, the greater light. Okay, that rules the day. Go ahead.
And the ordinance of the moon,
And the ordinance of who?
and the ordinance of the moon,
That declares the seasons. Okay? Most I put it in there for the ordinance of the moon. Talk about that new moon. That new moon starts the ordinance. It starts it all. That starts the month. That starts the days. Okay, continue.
and of the stars for a light
Go
by
ahead.
night,
Go ahead.
which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar.
Go ahead.
The Most High of all the spirits is his name.
Go ahead.
If those ordinances depart from before me,
Underline that. This is one of my. I got a lot of favorite scriptures.
God,
This is one of them two right here.
God,
In the Old Testament, Jeremiah 31 and 36. All right, it says what?
if those ordinances depart
If that moon depart,
from before me,
or that sun depart from the Most High. All right? If you don't see that moon and that sun, if that departs, what the Most High said,
saith the Most High Yahweh,
go ahead.
then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation.
He said the seed of Israel, meaning us. Notice the Most High put the word seed in there. He put that in there. He didn't say the nation. Even though we know he talked about the nation, but he said the seed, so that way it can't be no loopholes. You got to be the seed of Israel.
That's right.
All right?
Not no posted up child that the UN or the British mandate established.
You can't, in other words, you can't convert. All right? You can't convert to be Israelite. All right? It has to be of the seed of Israel. Okay? Correct? Go
And
ahead.
this also lets you know that the Israelites were never done away with.
Exactly. And can never be done away
Never.
with. All right? So read that last. It said, the seed of Israel also shall what?
The seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me.
And he said, if those ordinances, if the moon departs from him, or if ordinances cease from being before him, then the seed of Israel or nation of Israel will be a nation before him. That just confirms who we are, and we gonna be here
Right.
as long as you see that moon and that star.
Right. And that shows you too, they can't utterly destroy us. It's impossible. No matter how much they try, they can never utterly destroy us.
And that's why theologians, right? They always say, the children of Israel were done away with. We go back and show ain't no way.
no way, God,
We not going nowhere. All right, we here forever.
Right.
Okay, we here. All right, last 37. Read that.
37. Thus said the Most High Yahweh, if heaven above can be measured,
All right, if all the nations, all right, you talk about Russia, America, China, all right, this is what we keep talking about them. If they can be measured, go ahead.
and the foundations of the earth
And the foundations of the earth, go ahead.
search out beneath,
All right, so as you know, if you go on a submarine, the submarine can't go but so far.
Right.
It'll disintegrate. Okay, so that just shows you that the Most High has depth below the earth. All right, that eventually we are actually going to be able to go to those depths. Maybe not this body we're in, but it's going to be a time when we're going to get to that level. Okay, meaning we're going to, like I said, your house shall be the right hand side of the Most High. We're gonna be right hand side of your house shot. Right there. Okay? All right, go ahead.
I will also cast off all the seeds of Israel for all that they have done, said the Most High Yahweh.
Said the Most High Yahweh. All right? With that, I'm sorry, Ben.
You're right.
Go back.
You're right. Yeah, that's it. But I just, when I was just reading this here, I was just thinking it was a reggae singer by the name of Peter Tosh. He was a bad brother, man. And one of the songs he sung, he said, I am the son of David. I am the son of Moses. I am the son of Levi. He said, you cannot move, I. And he said, when he sang that song, when I heard, that was way before I came to the truth, and I heard that song, it like, it's something just like, damn, it's like a spiritual vibration. I didn't even know the truth, but when he sung it, I said, damn. And when I came to the truth, and I played it back again, I said, damn, he was in a heavy vibration. You know what I mean? You know, for him to sing that song, he said, I am the son of David. He said, you cannot move I. Mean you can't destroy us, you can't do nothing to us. We're going to be here. I said, damn, he was in a heavy, he was hitting us something before his time, man. When he sung that song, man. And when I came to the truth, I said, wow. Israel, well, we are mighty people, man. Even in our ignorance, man, the Most High still got that spirit in us. He just turned it down, man. You know? Yep. So with that, that's it. I say shalom. Shalom. Shalom to all the people that love the Most High, the haters, the foes, the enemies, the gainsayers, the scoffers. I say power to you too, man, because you're doing your job too. All right? So I say shalom.